underneath the surface, we're seeing a lot of rotation, and a lot of stocks. And we talk about this all the time, how the miners, they had the nice little run there for a while. The financials had a nice little run, but then they rotate out of them. The home builders had a nice little run and they got rotated out of, right? So um, if you're in those stocks, you just got to trade them, you can swing trade them, right? You don't want to hang in there and marry them because, when they pull back sharply, there's no guarantee that they're going to come back.
Welcome to the Rose Show podcast. Welcome to the Rose Show. I'm here today with Marty Chargin. There you are. He's right in front of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes.
So we're going to talk markets and stocks and focus on a great topic, the 3 investable themes of AI, or as Marty calls them, the kings of AI. So how you doing over there, Marty?
I'm doing great. I'm not in San Francisco. That is my home base though. Yeah, don't call it San Fran either, San Francisco. They get mad there. But anyway, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
I
We've got
love
lots
it.
to talk about. There's a lot going on in the market, and it's been a while since I've been chatting with you. So good to see you.
Great to have you back. We always love hanging out with you over here. We learn, we talk stocks, and we have lots of fun. So
Yeah.
I want to get started with your overview of the markets, the
Okay.
NASDAQ, the S&P, and the power trend that we're currently in the summer of 2024. Tell us your
Yeah.
thoughts.
I think it's really important to know where we're at, historically, so we, know where you've been, so you know kind of where we're
Exactly.
going, right? I just wanted to point out where we're at, okay? In my opinion, I mean, everybody's got an opinion of the market, right? And just historically, I shared with you that Peter Lynch video because he talks about historically 100 years, every 2 years you're going to have a 10% correction, and every 5 to 6 years you're going to have a 25% correction or more, right? So let's just go back to 2000. That's far enough for me, 24 years, where we had the bear market, where the dot-com crashed, right? And where everything was overvalued and based on eyeballs, not earnings or sales or anything. And so that was a pretty horrific crash for the NASDAQ. It was 18 months in the making until 9/11, September 11th of 2001 accelerated the bear market. So it was an 18-month bear market until that tragic event occurred, and that accelerated our bear market because it hurt our economy. It had a real severe impact on our economy. So that turned into a 3-year bear market, and from 2000 to 2003. And so we climbed out of it, had a nice, bull run, and then we had our second bear market of more than 25%, actually more than 40%. This was an 80% loss, and this is like a more than a 50% loss. And so those are 2 severe bear markets, the financial crisis, right? So now we go on this run from what, 09 to the COVID crash. So we essentially had like 10 years without a severe bear market. So then we had the Federal Reserve induced bear market. This right here was 48%, and this one right here is 38%, peak to trough from November of 2021 to October of 2022, kind of a garden variety, your typical bear market. As the Fed raised rates, the multiples contracted. So a lot of those high valuation growth stocks got hammered. Software names were down 80, 90%. And now we've been since October of 2022 and all 23, we've had this new bull market, but I wouldn't say that we've broke out of this into a new bull market until May of 2023. So it's just been over a year. We're just barely over a year into this new bull market. I go to a weekly chart. You can see the weekly chart here. Okay. So in May, it's kind of hard to see, but in May, I think it was May 10th was the actual date. This week, I believe, is when we broke out of this bear market and into a new bull market. We had the 3 legs down last fall. It was July, August, August, September, and October, and then the low October 26th.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've been off to the races, had the one pullback, and now we've had another strong rally. Okay. So now let me go to a daily chart. So now you got my thesis, right? We've had two
Mm-hmm.
bear markets in the last, in 2020 and 2022.
Yeah, the past
The
4 years we've
likelihood of
had
us
two.
having another bear market are pretty slim because it's never happened before. So I'm not expecting a bear market. I know there's a lot of bears in the market and people are really skeptical because of our, our debt, just a lot of negative macro things working against us. But, the market hasn't had three bear markets within 5 years. So, we might probably get a pullback, maybe even a correction of 10% or more, but I doubt if we go into another bear market. That's just my opinion. I take things one day at a time. And if we go into a bear market, then we go into a bear market, right? So I'll just be flexible and change my mind at that time. But right now, we're in a nice, strong uptrend. The Nasdaq is extended. When it gets above, like right now, today, it's 8% above its 50 simple
Mm-hmm.
moving average, and it always comes back to these moving averages. You can see since this breakout, it's come back to the moving averages every time, right? So it will eventually, it comes back to the moving averages, no matter how high it comes back to the moving average. Even during the rally, it comes back to the 21, it rallies up, pulls back, and now it's rallied up and it's extended. So a pullback is expected. That doesn't mean it's going to happen today or tomorrow or the next day. So you just play it by ear. And as long as it's going higher and we're in an uptrend, you're just going to ride the trend because the trend is your friend. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. How about that, Ro?
That's excellent. I love that. I love how you start and you take us back to 2000 and you bring us to today, because that helps add context to a lot of what's going on right now. And it's
Yeah,
unlikely that we could have another bear. I mean, is this time really different? We can and we should anticipate pullbacks along the
yeah,
way. Nothing goes straight up, nor
no,
does it go down. And so very likely we could be having some type of correction in the
yeah,
near term. What are your
yeah.
thoughts with
Embrace the
that?
pullbacks and quality stocks, right? There's been a lot of complaining about there's narrow leadership on the way up, but there's a lot of rotation going on. And anytime the NASDAQ is up, right, you're going to see Apple's driving it higher, right? And Microsoft is driving it higher, and NVIDIA is driving it higher. I mean, they're $3.4 trillion companies. So when they move higher, they're going to move the indexes higher. Microsoft's not doing it today, but in general, right? Google, these are the stocks that are driving it higher for sure because they're the larger stocks. But underneath the surface, we're seeing a lot of rotation, and a lot of stocks. And we talk about this all the time, how the miners, they had the nice little run there for a while. The financials had a nice little run, but then they rotate out of them. The home builders had a nice little run and they got rotated out of, right? So um, if you're in those stocks, you just gotta trade them. You can swing trade them, right? You don't want to hang in there and marry them because when they pull back sharply, there's no guarantee that they're going to come back. So yeah, they
What are
had
your
their
thoughts on
run.
the small caps? There's a lot of talk about the
Yeah.
market breadth isn't improving. We
Okay.
have the big stocks running and stealing
Okay.
the show.
Yeah. Well, if you just look historically, they've kind of gone sideways for a long time,
Yeah,
right? I mean, if you just look from, I don't know, before the bear market,
yeah,
2021, like 3 years of just going sideways. So there's no indication that they're going to trade higher. The problem with these types of indexes is that when the stocks get larger, the more, quality, the higher quality stocks they are, they graduate, right, to larger cap indexes, right? Like SMCI, right? Supermarket, which we had at $50 back
yeah,
in
back then.
2021 or whatever.
Uh-huh,
And
in
so
April of
that grew into
22.
what, a
Uh-huh.
50 billion market cap. So it's no longer a small cap. So that's part of the problem with the Russell is that the quality stocks that grow, they get kicked out of that small cap. But it hasn't gone anywhere for 3 years, so there's no indication that it will. But if it does, I'll be right there cheering it on. And there's a lot of smaller cap stocks that, we like that, we talk about all the time and, including biotech stocks and speculative names and some of the crypto names that are smaller. But they're more speculative and they're easy to push around when they're not large and liquid. You could see the institutions gravitating towards those large and liquid stocks, not only in tech, but in the drug stocks as well, and in the energy plays too.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think that with higher rates, higher cost of money, higher cost of debt, and you have companies have thinner margins, so it's much
Yeah,
harder for the smaller businesses and thus smaller caps. While the larger, the mega caps, the haves, the ones with the cash
yeah,
generators,
yeah.
it's easier for them and they
Right,
keep growing. And
right,
so I think you see that with the small
right,
caps being challenged. And as you showed in your chart, they basically gone sideways since
yeah,
late 21,
yeah. I
or
don't like,
actually
I don't,
early 21. It was
I
like, I
don't
think
like going
February,
sideways.
March. Huh?
I like going sideways. Well, the larger cap stocks, like the ones that, NVIDIA and Microsoft, Google and Meta, they have the cash, the resources
Mm,
to win the AI race, right?
exactly.
Whatever that is, the hardware, the software, all that spending, the CapEx spending that they're doing, they're going to get return on investment. And they have the resources to win that
They
race.
do.
And the smaller cap stocks, it's just, the large fish eat the small ones, and it's very hard to compete with them. And
Exactly.
institutions, are going to gravitate. They're safer, right? They're
Yeah,
safer
they're
at home.
safer, they're liquid.
Yeah,
They're the ones to be in right now, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, no
So
doubt. But
let's talk about the three investable themes
well,
of
I
AI.
have three themes. We talked about this for a while. The AI theme is the big one, right? The new bull market based on the AI theme, and it's showing up in balance sheets and in earnings reports. If you follow Broadcom and NVIDIA and Microsoft and Oracle, some of those software names, even Adobe's recent earnings report is starting to show up. So the AI theme is definitely one, and also the build out of AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
The data center plays. SMCI, which we mentioned, is a pure play on the data centers. Very interested to see their earnings report this quarter because I got to believe they're doing pretty well. I mean, I would think they're doing pretty well. And then there's Dell, which has hardware, computers and a data center play. And then there's just a lot of other ones. Vertiv Holdings is another one with the we talked about earlier with the cooling systems, and then the energy plays, um, Constellation, and then Vistra, and the GE spinoff, their energy play.
Mm-hmm.
GEB is another one. So that's another theme that I'm investing in. And the last one, well, there's a couple more that I'd like to talk about. One is the drug. The weight loss drugs are going to be
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going to be the highest selling drugs of all time. I think it was Lipitor, Keytruda. There's a couple other top selling drugs, but these weight loss, diabetes drugs are going to smash uh, those sales. Lilly has a patent till 2039 on their weight loss drug, and Novo Nordisk has a patent on Ozempic or maybe Wegovy till 2032. So that's 8 years. That's
Wow.
short time, right? Yeah. So they have a duopoly on that space, and they're not going to go up every week or month, but over time, I think they're going to be big winners. If you want to play the drug market, a lot of people don't like playing drug stocks because there's a lot of lawsuits involved and the government gets involved, and they can be news driven. But I think overall sales and earnings are going to win out with those two, Novo and Lilly, and they already have. Uh, you know, I got to believe Lilly's going to be the first $1 trillion drug stock,
Wow.
and trade over 1,000 here pretty soon. But also another theme is to pay attention to is the U.S. consumers changing their patterns.
Mm.
And I like playing retail. They've been getting beaten up a little bit. Um, you know, Nike's losing share, Lululemon's losing share. I think McDonald's losing share, and who's taking that share? From Starbucks, I think Dutch Bros is clearly taking share, and Nike's having Deckers and On Holdings take market share from them. And Lululemon has some private companies that I think are taking share from them. So we could take a look at those.
Yeah.
You know, Elf is taking market share in the cosmetics industry. Definitely an innovative company that needs to be watched. They've already been like a 10 bagger already. So how
Excellent
do
points.
you?
I love that. No, you love Alf. You loved Alf, and you've talked about Alf, I think, last year sometime, and you had a good eye. You
Well,
saw how
because
they market themselves to Gen Z and social
I use their
media.
products, right? No, during the bear market of 2022, and you know, the only game in town with those energy stocks, there was only a couple of plays that were doing well. Lantheus was one of them, and Elf was just kind of going sideways during that bear market. So that it was the old was it Ropel? Jim Ropel, like said, the basketball underwater. It was like ready to explode, you know. But and it certainly has, you know, went from like $25, what is it now, $200 today?
Yeah, like
So
228,
yeah,
208.
yeah. And I still think it has room to run. It's high valuation company though. I mean, it has to grow into that valuation. Um, but then I think it will.
So I
What do you
love
want to
this
look at? You want to
concept.
start with the AI thing? I mean,
Well,
everybody,
actually, I have to say, I love this concept about the consumer changing. And
yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
so. Yeah.
really important. Yeah, that was the last one you mentioned. I think we'll start with that and we'll work our way
Okay.
back to the
Okay.
king of AI, which is NVIDIA, in my opinion.
Okay.
So,
You want to start with the consumers changing? I
yeah,
think
I love that.
part of it is those I just talked about the weight loss drug stocks, right?
Yeah.
That's having an impact on like General Mills, Conagra, the alcohol stocks, Diageo, Constellation, Sam. If you want to take a look at Sam, I mean, look at this chart.
Let's look at
People
them.
aren't buying as much booze, right? I mean, this thing is just
Yeah, it is tanked. I mean, it
yeah, it's in the
really
tank. It's in the beer
in
vat,
the
right?
can,
Uh,
the beer can.
um, let me see. TEO, right? Was it Diageo? Yeah, this thing's just down, down, down. But people aren't
Yeah,
drinking as much anymore. And, you know, I have a lot of friends on these weight loss drugs, and you know, they're not buying as much food. They don't drink as
yeah.
much. You know, one glass of wine and they're ripped. So they have to buy as much booze, right? I mean,
That's true.
they're consuming less. Conagra, I mentioned them. You know,
Yeah.
food stock, this thing is just down, down, down. You know, earnings in the tank, sales going nowhere. General Mills, which is a, you know, food
Hmm.
package company, they do have dog food, but the same thing, you know, I listened to their earnings report and there's just people are not spending as much. You know, it might be people because of inflation, people don't have as much, you know, money to spend on food as well, right? But I do think that the drug stocks are having an impact on the alcohol and the food stocks. So, you know, I got to
Interesting
show
trend.
Lily because, you know, these are the big winners. You know, people are buying these,
Hmm.
um, you know, weight loss drugs, you know, diabetes drugs, and who would have thought that if you lose a lot of weight and don't consume as much, that it's healthier for your heart, your liver, your
I
kidney.
know. Who
It's just
knows,
healthier
right?
for you.
Who knew
Yeah,
that one? So
yeah.
then the pattern,
Who
I want to just
figured
make
that?
that point while you're zooming in on this chart. The pattern is that the beer, the drinking, the consumption of food is coming down because
Yes.
of this new trend of weight loss drugs. And,
Yeah.
Eli Lilly's right there.
Yeah, and the CEOs are not going to say, well, the weight loss drugs are the cause or inflation is the cause. They're just going
Hmm.
to tell you that we're not selling as much, you know.
Hmm.
And we know the old trick from Pepsi, you know, they put less potato chips in a package of potato
Yeah.
chips and they
Yeah.
charge you the same. But this thing is up 12 weeks in a row. Hello, after breaking out of that double
Wow.
bottom
Yeah.
base. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's what I call a Kelly Slater stock. We're just surfing, it's moving averages, you know, and there's nothing to do here. It's hanging those 10 toes off the
Yeah.
10 EMA,
It wants
the 10 EMA.
1,000. I think it's gonna see 1,000.
Yeah, yeah. I know you're in that stock. I'm long this stock, but you know,
Hmm.
I always wish that I had more.
Of course.
You know, when they're going sideways, you're going, oh, that's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I don't want to have this stock. You know, it's hanging out by its 50, and then it takes off and it
And
rises
it's like,
from
why didn't I
what?
get more at
Yeah,
that
well,
time?
seven. Why didn't I buy more at 718, you dummy?
I
Now it's at
know.
930. Now
Wow. I
you
know.
want to
And
buy
then
it?
how about no NVO?
Okay, Envy. There's another one that I own, because I couldn't decide. I can't decide. I'm a wimp. I want to own both of them. I don't know which one's the winner.
It's not a bad thing.
I had a financial advisor when I was working as a teacher, and then I got demoted to being a principal. But my financial advisor told me to buy this thing back in 1999, and his thesis was China was eating better. They're eating more pork. They're going to have more diabetics. And he was right about that, but he failed to mention about the United States.
Hmm.
And you could see this thing from what, 99. If I can get my track price on it. So this one was a dollar, and now it's $140. So
Wow,
it's been a big winner, I would say.
absolutely.
And people are so focused on the here and now and, the day-to-day action. And yeah, it's been hit with some, real bad news recently with, the politicians getting after it and some, sketchy reports, but it won't go lower. And so that tells me, it's 5 weeks tight trading here. And even with all the bad news, it's only 5% off its a 52-week high. And it's just trading down to its moving averages. If institutions really wanted out of this thing, it would slice its moving averages, and it's not.
Hmm.
So to me, this is like stealth accumulation. Institutions are supporting it around that 140 level. So that's why I bought calls at 140.
Hmm.
Hoping they'll go up over time, because if they can't push it down, my logic is, well, eventually it's going to go up, right? So give it some time, be
Yeah.
patient. People are not as patient as they used to be, I don't believe, in the market. They want to buy the stock and have it go up and raise those stops and have winning, tickets. But, to me, if you're doing 50%, you're doing pretty well. And if you ride those winners and get 25, 30, 50% winners and keep your losses to 4 or 5%, you can have a 50%, or a 500 batting average and still be a big winner, right?
Well
You don't
said.
have
Yeah.
to, like you see on Twitter, like everybody's got a winning stock, right? Nobody loses. But in reality is you're going to lose half the time. So, deal with it. It's normal.
That's why you got
And
to keep those
yeah,
losses.
ride your winners. Like we were
Yeah, and
talking with
right.
our friend James today about Tesla. What should we do? What you do? Let it run. It's running, let it run. Maybe you trim some, but since it's one of those Mag 7, I guess I'll pop it up here, right? It's up, what, 10 days in a row? I don't see any sell signs. Maybe you want to trim some, but
Yeah, it's
usually
very
institutions
extended, but
buying this
it's,
thing, right?
yeah, it's a
It
lot of
broke out.
accumulation.
Yeah, it went above $200. It went above its 200 moving average. All the short-term moving average are trending higher. Uh, yeah, I don't see any sell signs, but I could see trimming, raising your stops, because you don't want the stock
Hmm.
to go lower than like last week's low, which,
Hmm. Like
has
a
a long
trailing
way to
stop.
go.
Hmm.
But I
So,
would raise my stops, maybe to yesterday's
look,
low.
look at how long it was consolidating for. That
Yeah,
was the thing. Everyone,
yeah,
wrote off the stock. They were like,
yeah,
Tesla's done. It's
yeah,
declining earnings. It's lower deliveries. And look
yeah,
at this. I mean, this
yeah.
kind of run.
Yeah, well, once it made that low at 138, it came back up. I think it was an earnings report or something. And then it came down right here to 167 and then just kind of went sideways and then kind of retested that low. And once it did that, you could see the accumulation here. And of course, the last like 10 days. So there's another stock I want to show you that looks like that.
Yeah.
Ro, if I may. See, because AMD is kind of
AMD.
doing the same thing, right? It popped up here, made that low, then popped up now, came down to that 153, just kind of going sideways. Of course, the last couple of sessions it's gone higher, but I'm looking possibly for maybe another move in AMD back up to 200. Um, they have earnings July 30th, and I'm not I hold it in a retirement account, but I don't have it in a trading account now because I'm a dummy. I should really own that thing. It looks pretty good to me.
It does. So, okay, so the consumer changing, we talked
Yes.
about the
Yeah.
food, the
Yeah.
drugs, the
The
weight
drugs.
loss
Right.
drugs. People are
Right.
wanting to lose weight, so they're cutting back on beer.
Keep me
And
focused.
then,
Keep me focused. So Bros to me, I think is taking market share from Starbucks.
mhm.
And I know this, just by driving by, we have a lot of them here, but also like the people at Whole Foods are really nice to me. And I buy them gift certificates and just because they're nice.
You're
And
very
so
nice,
I
Marty. You're
bought I
very
bought them
nice.
a gift certificate to Starbucks, right? And they go, well, they wanted to be nice and just say like we're Dutch Bros people. And they're all kind of like younger, you know, hip people. So I go, okay. So I went there, I bought a $50 gift certificate to Dutch Bros. And now they're going, oh, we already used that up, man. So I got to go back to Dutch Bros and buy them another gift certificate. But I just wanted to show, since the earnings call, which I believe was back here, when it really started rallying out of that base. I mean, this thing is straight up from the bottom. Whenever you see a stock come straight up from the bottom, you know, there's going to be profit taking. So yeah, it came from 38.41 down to 33.90. And since then, it's making these higher lows, okay, which is, you know, and higher highs, which is, you know, the definition of an uptrend. It's not going to go up every day. It's not going to go, you know, higher every week, but higher lows, higher highs. It's definitely in an uptrend. And you could see its competition, Starbucks, which when you have a company with a, you know, 100 billion market cap, now 80 billion market cap, it doesn't take much market share for a smaller cap stock, you know, to have it, you know, really rocket higher. The Starbucks has done a lot of stupid things. Their CEO has made a lot of mistakes. Dutch Bros is hitting on all cylinders. They're expanding. The CEO said she wanted 4,000 stores. They're working up their way towards New York, up the Eastern Seaboard. Right now, they're going through Texas and Florida, and they're going to move through the Eastern Seaboard and up to New York. So once you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, right? Didn't Frank Sinatra sing that?
Exactly. If you can make it in New York, you can make it
Make it
anywhere.
there, you can make it anywhere.
Well,
So
that's, I
that's where they're
mean,
headed.
that's
So I'm a
great.
big Dutch Bros bull because I kind of see it anecdotally, and the kids are telling me that. And the lines are long there. And I guess, you know, Starbucks just did a lot of stupid things, and the kids like Dutch Bros. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
So what are you gonna do?
we
That's just the
we're
game.
trading in the mermaid for the windmills.
For the little Dutch little lighthouse or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Little Dutch
it's
Bro. Well,
very
first when I
cute.
went by it, they were building in here and it looked like a Sherwin-Williams paint store. I go, oh, they're building a new paint store here. Cool. You know, I get my paint there. And it said Dutch Bros. I didn't even know what Dutch Bros was. But I like the stock, and you know, if
Mhm.
they continue to have earnings. Once again, I mean, you own a company, right? And the company has to deliver earnings and sales. So when you have, you know, accelerating earnings, 26 into 39, and you got triple digit earnings growth, sales and earnings are going to drive the stock higher, not a stupid
Yeah,
pattern. It doesn't go up because of a pattern. It goes up because of sales and earnings. Now I'm sounding like a fundamental guy, not a technical analysis trader, but it's true. I mean, the stock's not going to go up just because the chart pattern. It needs sales. So I think Bros is taking share, and I think they're going to have some really strong reports
I
going
agree.
forward.
I'm long Bros as well,
Okay.
and
So the other one, and you can't stop me, Ro, I'm just on a roll.
I know
Is
which
that the
one.
food, right? We talked about the food, is that I think you're seeing healthier eaters. People are more health conscious. So
Mm.
like sweet greens and kava,
Oh, the food, the kava.
as opposed, I've never been there, but you know, as opposed to McDonald's, you know, and Jack in the Box and Wendy's, I think people are just more health conscious now. They're a little more educated on the food that they're ingesting. I want to believe that anyway. Um, Maybe we're getting healthier with our weight loss drugs and with our dietary choices. Um, I'd like to think so anyway. So anyway, Kava, I guess I got to show the Kava chart, right?
Please do.
Yeah, I will. So you have no choice. So yeah, it just broke out of this IPO base, right? Right here. This is, you
Wow,
know,
look at that
yeah,
run.
yeah. Just like your what do they call the if you read Kathy and Eve's book, the due
Mhm.
diligence phase, right? It ran up, then pulled back, you know. So this is your IPO due diligence phase, and now it's in its advanced phase. And so yeah, it pulled back this week. You know, it's 8.6% off of its high, but still in its advanced phase, I believe, and still looks strong. Um, I just think Americans are choosing healthier. I've never been to a kava or a sweet greens.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
ask
eat
you, can you bring that chart back up?
sweet. Which one, kava?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
This is
daily or
a
the
question
weekly?
that I get from people, and so I want to send it over to you. Now, you see how much it's advanced as its IPO, and
Yes.
it's on a nice uptrend.
Yeah,
Where
there's your
would you look
pullback thing.
for people who want to get into this stock? Because it's definitely a hot food stock. It's a great one with restaurants. Where would you look to get into this one, or do you think it's just too extended? How do you look at this chart?
Yeah, it's definitely extended, but strong stocks in a bull market are not going to be easy to buy. They're not just going to set up
Yeah.
in a nice little base for you to buy. Um, the restaurant stocks got hit today. I just look for pullbacks to moving averages. It pulled back to its 21 today. Now it's 1.25% below it. Maybe it'll pull back to the 50,
Oh.
and that'll give you a chance to get in. Like we talked about earlier, the rotation, right? These things have been really strong. We showed, Bros and I think Sweet Greens. I'll come back to Kava in a minute. Sweet Greens sliced its 50. So these are getting sold, right?
Yeah, that
But,
one really,
but
really
as soon
came
as they
down.
fall out of favor, they get back into favor, So you got to watch them. Yeah, Kava is definitely stronger than Sweet Greens, and Bros is stronger than Kava because it's above its moving averages where Kava is below. So to me, I can't buy it until it bounces. I need to see it bounce off the 21, or if it wants to pull back to that 50, I'll wait for a bounce off the 50. But you got to expect some profit taking after a move like this. What did it go from 31 last year? Now it's trading at $90. I mean, come on, it's been a three bagger and there's going to be profit taking. Maybe it'll form a base here. That's what I would like to see. But like I say, in a bull market, these strong stocks are just pulling back to moving averages and trading higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to show you this one stock that I bought recently, and it broke out of a base. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a classic, pull back to the 21, find support. This is CAMT. It's not a food
Okay,
stock.
Camtech,
Yeah, CAMTech,
CAMT, and it's an
TAMT.
Israeli maker of
Yeah,
automated optical inspection systems.
yeah, I don't really know what they do.
I want you to explain, go into detail about their
Well,
operations,
it
Marty.
just, yeah, no, we had it on our ready list at my site
Mhm.
and, got it here at the 90 level and it just took off. So it's real easy to hold because you just raise your stops, right? And then when it pulled back to its 21, that's not a sell sign. It's just, it found support and bounced. So to me, that's another area where you could add on buy, or if you missed this buy, then you could have bought it here, right? And
Yeah.
then it ran up again. So you could raise your stops again and it pulled back to the 21 once again. And you got to wait for the bounce. You can't just sit there and assume that it's going to bounce off the 21. You got to wait until it bounces, and it pulled back on this day, which was June 24th, down to 109. The next day it's at 116, and 2 days later it's at 118. So that's a nice little bounce. So since it's found support at the 21 and bounce, that's another add-on buy point. Then it went from 118 to, what was it, 140 this morning. So to me, this thing's way extended, and I would just wait for another pullback. There's no guarantee it's going to find support at the 10 or the 21, so you got to wait for the bounce. But if you missed the breakout, I mean, it's extended now, and you just got to wait for a pullback to a moving average. So going back to Kava, that's what I would do. I would just wait till it finds support and bounces, and it certainly could bounce off this 21, just because it's below it. It could trade below it for a couple of days and rally back through 100. I wouldn't give up on that just because it had a couple of days of selling. It's in its institutional advance phase, so it's ready to advance. So yeah, it's not going to sit there in a base for you to buy easily, like Elf has.
Exactly. Well, I guess that's the next one we're going to go to,
We're
the
going to segue to
beauty.
Elf.
You segue to Elf. Tell us about how the consumer's changing, and the new Estee Lauder maybe is
Yeah, I
Elf
think
the
so.
replacing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, my dad was a big investor in Estee Lauder, and he, I don't want to be sexist or anything, but he just says you can make a lot of money off of people's vanity, not just women's vanity, but people's vanity. People like to look good on their podcasts on Zoom, right? Right?
Absolutely.
So they got to
Looking
get their
good over there,
lotions and
Marty.
their what do they call them? Foundation, or they got skin cream and highlighters, whatever they do. That's great. Whatever turns people on. But Elf is a really smart company. Their management team's super smart. They're very aggressive in meeting their consumers where they're at, like on Twitch, on TikTok. They just expanded their deal with Roblox. So people go on these games and they buy stuff. They don't have to go to Walmart or Target or Ulta Beauty, you know, they could just have it delivered to their door, buy it online. So yeah, it's a really good management team, good business model, good products. They're known for you know, buy cheap stocks, right? I mean, cheap products. Like their products are like 3 times cheaper than a product from say an Estee Lauder or a Revlon or a Maybelline or whatever. So a $30 product there, Elf selling it for $10. So something to watch there. In their last conference call, they talked about the tariffs in China because their stuff is made in China. And so they're not going to raise their prices. So if there's further tariffs in China, they're just going to eat that. So their margins will shrink a little bit. So they just warned investors that that could happen if there's further tariffs in China. They're not going to raise prices because they think that's one of their strengths is that they sell quality products, competitive products at a way cheaper price, and they're not going to compromise that. So just something to know, just a, you know, little background on the company. But if you want to take a look at the stock, first I'll go to Estee because Estee's had a lot of problems. First of all, you know, they're big in China and the China consumer kind of pulled back a little bit. That's the type of stock you don't want to own. If you're just looking at stocks right now, when you see all these lines going lower, you don't want to own that stock. You want to own something like Elf, which is, you know,
Wow,
lower
they're like
left to upper right.
polar
I get it.
opposites.
Yeah, and it's made these bases like I talked about in 2022 during that bear market. It just kind of went sideways. So when it got to, you know, September, October 22, it really broke out. So it was on the radar because it was showing relative strength, and you know we've been in and out of this one for a long time, and you can see how long it ran before it made another base. You know, it had this stage one base here. It looks like a stage two, but market surge is calling stage one, 14 weeks with 37% depth in that base. Nice base. Pull back, you know, they always form this base and then pull back, or usually they do. Sometimes they run higher without it. And now it's doing the same thing. It's forming this base. This is a little bigger base. This is 18 weeks with a 32% depth, where this was 14 weeks with 37% depth. So a little shallower base, a little longer time frame. But now if I go to the daily, you can see what this thing is doing. You know, it ran up on earnings. It fell off with Ulta Beauty's you know, they lowered guidance, and then it went up with its earnings report, and then pulled back to its moving average and ramped higher, then pulled back because there's sellers in here, right? They're taking profit, but what is it doing? It's being supported at its moving average at a higher price every time. And then it ramped up and then pulled back to the 21. The last couple of days, it you know, it found support here, and now it's bounced off that 21 and it's moving higher. But if you look at it, I like to look at weekly charts, and to me, it's just forming a base and you know, kind of forming out this a handle, and hasn't really made its move higher yet. And for me, you know, to say it made a move higher, it's got to be above the old 221.83. And then you know, then it's got you know, blue skies or no overhead supply or whatever you want to call it. So
Wow.
that's Elf.
Yeah,
Um,
so what do you anticipate for Alf? You think it's a long-term growth story? You could see it continuing into next few years, right?
I think so. I mean, if you look at, I got to go back to Estee because Estee's been a big winner for a long, long time. You go back to the 80s on this one,
Yeah, look at
you could
that.
see, you know,
Like
since the financial
2000, yeah,
crisis,
yeah.
you know, I mean, a kindergartner could know, hey, lower left, upper
Look at
right.
that.
Yeah, it
It
looks pretty
from,
good.
yeah, from
It was from,
2009 to 2021, it was
yeah.
steady incline.
So, yeah, from what, March of '09, which was, I guess you could call the Haynes bottom, right? He called it in March of
Hmm.
'09. Yeah, it was a $9 stock and it ran up to, yeah, 372. Not a
Wow.
bad return, right? But now
No.
it's gone from what 370 or 390 down to $100. So, you know, that's why you can't marry these things. You got to sell them. And I
Hmm.
think it's just it's having market share taken from it, from a, you know, a better managed company, a smaller company, a more lean company, more competitive company, a better run company, in Elf. And you know,
Yeah, it's
just
about adapting to the new times. And
yeah,
then you adapt and you thrive and you grow.
yeah.
I love their social media marketing. think it's
Yeah, they're
smart.
fantastic.
And I love their commitment to very savvy and competitive pricing, especially during this time of higher pricing. Very smart, definitely a beauty company of our times. So I could see the growth.
Does that look a little bit like Kava?
Yeah, I guess so. That the same pattern. It's a chart pattern
I'm
that
not
we
saying
see.
anything. Well, it's just like,
Yeah.
here's your due diligence phase and there's your advance phase. And so it's still advancing. So you ride the trend till it bends at the end, and it's not bending yet. So
So L, Kava,
yeah,
you're
to me,
not
it's
seeing a
just forming
bend.
another base. But like I say, they want to buy their stock and have it move right away.
I want it and I
Yeah,
want it now.
yeah. Or I'm tight. I don't want to pay Uncle Sam, so I want to hold a stock for a year. So if I can do that, buy now and hold it for a year, and hopefully it doesn't go into a bear market or anything, or crash and burn, and we can hold it for a year. So,
Yeah. So
that's,
yeah, so okay,
yeah.
that we've talked about the consumer changing, and we can continue if you come up with any other ideas and the other stocks or sectors. But I think we can go right into another important part of AI, the auxiliary plays that we
Okay.
talk about, the data
Okay.
centers,
Okay.
the energy, the infrastructure.
Okay. You want to start with the energy? Okay. Constellation has, there's going to be a huge need for energy with this AI build out. I think it's pretty well documented, and our grid system is not the best. This is a nuclear play, though, and I think more and more, I think there's going to be more push towards nuclear. This is Constellation. It's a spinoff from Exelon. They spun off in 2022, and you can see how well this thing has done.
Wow.
Yeah, January 2022. So it's been 2.5 years, and obviously a big winner. But right now it's consolidating in a base, a later stage base, which is not the end of the world. It's still in an uptrend. And like I say, you follow the trend till it bends in the end, and this one's not bending. It's consolidating here in the base. I would like to see it trade above that 236 though, and I think eventually it will. Pulled back to the 50 for the first time since this little consolidation period. It broke out, ran up to that 236.30, and then pulled back to the 50. Found support, moved up to 227, and then now is kind of squatting around that 50. So the last couple of days have been encouraging. It's been on a lighter volume though, but you got to go price. Only price pays, right? And so this one is paying. It's well off its 50 now. So I'm more comfortable buying it off the 50 than sitting there squatting at the 50. That's just me. It's yeah, only 2.3% above it, but still, it's not below it or at it. I want it off that moving average. So
So yeah, they always say buy, Brian Shannon says buy the
yeah,
strength after the dip.
buy the
So,
bounce, don't buy the dip. Yeah, Brian's a
so
sharp
is
guy.
that buyable in your opinion for your style? Do you buy now, or would you wait till it breaks out above one of those previous peaks, so
Um, you know,
2027 or 236?
yeah, it's a little extended, but I want to buy them as close to the moving average as possible. And this one is, if you just look at it, objectively, I mean, it's making higher lows, right? 162, 177, 196. This was like 200. So it's in a clear, uptrend, right? And it's close to the moving average. So if I wanted to own it, I didn't own it, I would definitely buy a partial now. And if it pulls back to that 50, you might want to add on the next bounce if it's a higher low, right? I don't want to buy a stock making a lower low. You can see these higher lows here the last few weeks. And I don't want to buy a stock making a lower low. So as long as it's making a higher low, I would nibble, wouldn't go all in, jump all into the boat right away. Buy a quarter share, buy a half a share, buy a half a position, and if it works for you, you can add. And if it goes against you and you have a small loss and it makes a lower low, you get stopped out. So what? You're not gonna you gotta be in the game, you gotta take your bat off the shoulder, you gotta take a few swings at some things, and that's in an uptrend. So yeah, I don't own it right now, but if I wanted to own that stock, I would buy it right now. Sure, it's bouncing. Why not?
How about VST? Have you been
VST is
watching
another one
that?
we talk about often.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is utility, but it also, they made a purchase of a nuclear facility. So once again, you can see the big run up and now it's consolidating. It doesn't mean it's the end of the game, right? It had this big, massive, parabolic move and now it's consolidating. Does that mean it's over? I don't think so. It just, it ran up. It hasn't had a base for a long time and stocks that don't make bases for a while, I like to see them form a base of some kind. This has been what, at least, let me get the date here, Rob.
Like
This
the
is
longer the base,
107,
the
yeah,
higher, the
May
longer the base,
20.
the higher in space, right?
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'll take any base.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, I hate it when they go sideways. Just as long as it's some sort of a base. It could be a 5-week flat base. I don't care. It's just got to be some sort of a base. This is 7 weeks, so that's okay with me, but it's a later stage base. Yeah, I give it some time. I wouldn't wait till 107.24, I would let it form the right side of a base and buy it closer to
Mm.
the moving averages, but I don't know neither one of those. I know we both own those stocks on the
Yeah,
way up, but you rent them, you don't want to marry them because
no,
you don't know how low they're gonna go and you don't know how long this is gonna last. And while you're sitting there holding this stock, it's opportunity costs when you could be, holding something like a Cam Tech or, even a Tesla, which we showed earlier, right?
mm-hmm.
You want to move your money into something that's moving, or even an Apple, which has been trading higher, right? You want to be in something that's moving. So that's why, we're kind of traders. We're not really investors.
Mm-hmm. You
Although I
know,
like to invest.
yeah,
I like to invest in stocks for, like I say, over a year because I don't like to pay taxes because I'm tight that way. And that's
yeah.
why I buy dividend stocks.
Absolutely. I think it's great to diversify with a portfolio. You have your investments and then you have your portfolio with trading and you
Yeah,
can keep those and you can use options with that.
yeah.
But yes, it's that opportunity cost. It's very important to keep that
Opportunity
in mind.
costs. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
hold on to a stock and you hope for
and
it to come back and maybe it does in a few years or maybe,
yeah,
but you're missing out on other opportunities.
yeah. I think so. I mean, how long can you do that? I was just saying that people aren't patient anymore. So
I
I'm
know.
just ditching a stock to buy another one, but that's part of the rotation too. You don't want to get caught up in like the laundry, right? We're just spinning around and going sideways for weeks and weeks and weeks while other stocks are ramping higher.
As another thing people talk about, now I'll just mention it, is that they feel that they wait and then they're like, okay, I'm missing out on something else as an
Yeah.
opportunity cost. So I'm going to sell this. I'm going to hop into this one that's trending. And then when you hop into that one that's trending, it pulls back. And you're like,
Yeah.
what did I
Yeah.
do? Then you see the one that it's like a traffic lane, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
keep moving lanes and the
Yeah.
lane that you were
Yeah.
in now moves. What are your
You
thoughts
got
on
you,
that, Marty?
you got to watch that. Yeah, like on the freeway, whatever lane
Hmm.
you're in is not moving. The other lanes are going right past you, right? And then you get into that lane, you merge over, and that lane stops, and all the other lanes are
Yeah, you're
going
like,
past you.
oh, what am I
Yeah,
gonna
you got to
do?
be careful of jumping around stocks like that. You don't want to be just chasing, the shiny object, because that's a good way to lose money too. And during this rotation, it's been pretty short-lived. It's been pretty quick, and you don't want to be chasing that hot money. Um,
Yeah, gotta
but
be
obviously
careful.
the Magnificent Seven, the Amazon, the Google, the NVIDIA, those are the ones that the investors are gravitating towards, and the Tesla.
Apparently. And the
Yeah,
data centers, I think we can go into the data centers. We
yeah.
mentioned SMCI, Dell. Tell us what you're seeing with data centers
Okay.
and
One more
VERT,
energy stock that I
VRT.
like that was a spinoff from GE is GEV. I just wanted to mention this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just trending higher,
Oh,
There's
yeah.
nothing to do here. It's just once again making the higher lows, right? And anytime a stock's making, higher lows, it's trending higher, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
higher lows, and then we got the higher highs. So that's the definition of an uptrend.
Yes, it
So you got
is.
your channel, right? And so, maybe you sell it when it comes here, and you buy it when it pulls back, and you sell it when it rips, and then you buy it when it comes back and it dips. So just had to show that one because that was the
No,
third one
that's
of those.
great.
But
GE is an important one in the
yeah,
energy.
Now you mentioned SMCI, and I have to go to at least the weekly, probably the monthly, because
Mhm.
we were in this stock, I want to say 21.
Mhm.
And we talked about how it was a $100 stock masquerading at 50. So it might have been 22 during the bear market.
Mhm. It was April, I think, of 22, something like that. I got it
Yeah.
in the
I'd have to
40s.
go back and look at my Twitter account and see when I started
Mhm.
popping off about this stock. Because we were pretty confident in its
Yeah, it was
financial.
masquerading, the
Yeah.
stock that was masquerading. It's a
Well, once
value.
again, it had the sales and earnings growth and the balance sheet, the return on equity, the cash flow, very little debt, and
Mhm.
it had all those.
And massive growth.
Yeah. So that's what I think caught my eye, and it wasn't going anywhere. It was going sideways. So if I could date back here on the daily, I'll go back to 2022
Mhm.
and just kind of see what this stock was doing back then. Yeah, it was just kind of going sideways. Now, this is a bear market, right? So this is doing pretty well. I mean, for a bear market, it was just going sideways. I can fast forward a little bit here.
Mhm. I
Um,
remember being so excited when I found this one.
yeah,
It had like a PE of 8 or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Single
and so it
digits.
broke out of a base and then ran up, formed another base and ran up. That was where, I was into it right here around this 50s. And then it ran up and it formed this base, it undercut its 50, and I sold it because
Mhm.
I like to sell stocks when they go below their 50. And then it made this move up again, and we got back into it. And I think we held that from like 95 to what 350 it was,
Mhm.
350 something, and then it crapped out on earnings right here. And so I think I sold partial here, partial here. This is the middle of 2023, and I was 75% in SMCI and NVIDIA. So I was like 40% in SMCI and like 35% in NVIDIA. I only had two stocks. 75% is like fully invested for me because I'm old and I don't want to lose money. But anyway, so it crapped out and people thought, oh, it's done. It had this parabolic move. SMCI is toast, right? And
Yeah, it was totally done, right?
yeah, it's totally done. Right now, you just fast forward to about 2 months later to February, and it's like, whoa, what happened? That 357 where it fell out here, it just consolidated in this base, and then just it did have a parabolic move. And then even at I think it was what 1,077. What's the date
Mhm.
today? Oh, it's a 7/9.
It's July 9th, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was 1,077. Well, people thought it was done, right? And it's got this pullback here and it made another high of 1229, which confounded
Mhm.
everybody. And now to me, a lot of people give up on it because it had a parabolic move. It's climax top. Look at all the buyers here. Once there's all these buyers, there's no more buyers. They're exhausted. It's just like when there's sellers at a bottom, there's buyers at a top, and there's no more buyers left.
Mhm.
Pull back, and then
And it's
some more
making
buyers
higher
came in
lows and higher highs here. I see
all the
that on
way.
the right side.
But now it's fooling people again because people given up on this. And it's just making this the Darvis box, if you will.
Yeah,
And to me, I like it above the 1,000 level. It's just forming this box, and if it breaks out of here, it could definitely take out the 1229. And I think
yeah,
it
that's
will eventually with a couple more quarters of triple digit sales and earnings growth. Hello, the CEO said they're going to do, if everything goes right, 25 billion in sales. So, 3 times sales would be a 75 billion market cap. So that's a 50% move from here. So I could definitely see that happening. I hesitate to do the math and be that simplistic because anybody with a calculator then could win at the stock market. That's not the case, but I just wouldn't give up on this one. That's all I'm saying. If we're early innings of the AI data center, build out, that's going to be a pure play data center play, and I think it's going to be a big winner. Still, it just got a little ahead of itself. Buyers got exhausted. Now they form a base, and I think it could break out of a base and move higher. I could be wrong. I'm often wrong, but never in doubt, right?
Mhm. We all make mistakes and we're all wrong from time
Often
to
wrong,
time.
never in doubt.
But I agree with you on that one, and we could both be wrong, but I think that it's not finished, and I think that the future's bright, and doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it could be a few months, it could be another year, who knows?
Yeah.
But I think it's something to watch, and we
Well,
shouldn't give up on it, because look at the other
no,
stocks that people have given up on, when they trade in that channel, and then all of a sudden one day they break out, and then
just look at,
everyone loves them again, right?
yeah, we just showed Tesla, right, where that was,
Yeah, they like said it's over, it's going down, it's going to go to zero, it's just
Yeah.
over.
Um, you want that negative sentiment, right? Like, oh, that thing sucks. And
Yeah,
then, well, as long as they're reporting good earnings, which I think they will. It's not like Nike where they're getting market share taken from, they're not doing anything about it. SMCI Supermicro is
yeah.
doing good business. I think they're selling just about everything they could make. It was a supply chain issue there for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
when you mentioned Tesla, Elon Musk is a winner, and whether you hate him or love him, and he's a brilliant man, and he's a
yeah,
winner. And I think that Tesla is going to remain strong, and I think it's becoming more of a technology company than more just a vehicle company. And during that whole dark period for them recently, everyone was saying, "Ah, they're just a car company. No one wants a car company, and no one wants EVs." But there's so much more than that.
yeah,
And so now we're
yeah,
seeing that, and
yeah. I
everyone's
think,
loving Tesla.
yeah, their last delivery report, they talked about their energy. It's an energy play, right? We just talked about those
Energy,
energy stocks.
exactly.
Tesla could be your big energy play. So yeah, you're right. You never want to bet against the smartest person in the room. And Musk is obviously a brilliant guy. And it's just like Steve Jobs, right? I mean, he figured out a
Brilliant.
way, to get the consumers what they didn't even know they needed, right? So he was way ahead of the curve. Musk
Way
is
forward
similar.
thinking.
Brilliant, yeah. And
Brilliant.
he did some things politically, I don't want to get into it, but I think some of the one side of the aisle didn't like what he was saying, so I think they kind of pushed back on his automobiles a little bit. But he's a smart guy. Like I say, you don't want to bet against the smartest person in the room. He'll figure it out. Um, Obviously, the stock is responding, so
Mhm.
you know, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, okay, we knocked out some data centers. Oh, we have to mention Dell and
Dell's another one. It's not a pure
VRT.
play. It's not a pure play like SMCI, but it certainly is. Michael Dell tweeted about how he's building out the data center for Elon Musk there in Texas. And yeah, so it made this high. Once again, it got a little ahead of itself and then pulled back on earnings. People were expecting a little better earnings, but right now it's just, kind of squatting at the 50. But as long as the 50 is rising higher and it keeps pulling back to the 50, the price is going to go higher, right? I mean, I know you want it to get off that 50, but once again, 104, 114, 127, as long as the moving averages are trending higher and it's making higher lows, I mean, that's the definition of an uptrend. Once again, the market's in a strong uptrend. And, if you're playing options with these, it's hard to play, weekly options. Others, you got to give them some time because it's not really blasting higher. It's just kind of grinding higher
Mm-hmm. It's
over
tough.
time. I know you like to play, dated, give yourself some
Oh
time on
yeah,
those
I go a few months
options.
out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you can
Yeah, you
catch
got to
a
give us,
longer trend.
yeah, because,
But
um,
still, the options move fast, whether it's September or next week or even later this year. So you always got to be cautious, and you need to watch that if it reverses. Okay, so we got VRT.
oh, that's yeah, another one that had
Went back in the 90s. It pulled
one
back
of
in the
the,
80s.
yeah, one of the big leaders, right? Once again, though, it never formed a base, right?
Yeah.
It broke out of this consolidation, this flat base here back in what, October
Mm-hmm.
last year, and it just ran like a scalded dog. I mean, this
A
thing is just
scalded
ridiculous.
dog. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Don't scald the dog. Be
Yeah,
nice to
yeah,
your dogs.
yeah.
But once again, I talk about this all the time, making higher lows, right? So definition of an uptrend, 41, 44. So every time it pulls back, it's pulling back to the moving average at a higher level, right? 85 was the last one. So now to me, I just think it's finally forming a base and trying to get above this 50 simple moving average. To me, 97.50 would be a point of interest. I know some people were, pointing to the fact that, it's kind of trading above this downtrend line here. So that's definitely something to watch closely for, a move higher. But if I go to the weekly here, you can see it's just consolidating
Consolidation.
7 weeks.
So you don't buy during this phase. So some people with their investment strategies that they buy, they look to accumulate in little bits during this time period of consolidation. You wait for that breakout of that box.
Yeah, everybody has their own strategy. Some people like the bottom fish, buy the lows, and I'm not good at that. I don't know how low they're going to go. So I try to buy them on strength when I see institutions start to buy them. And I like them close to a moving average. I like them consolidating in a base. I don't like to buy stuff that's out of a base. Like I showed that CAMT earlier, when it pulls back to the 21, it's an add-on buy point. Or I don't want to digress here. Let's stick with Vert. This is consolidating in a base. And if I don't own this now, and if I want to own it, it's got to get above the 50 for me. Which is this line here. And to me, it's got to get above the, I don't know, I'd say the 97.50, that old high there on June 20th. But I don't want to wait till it's 109.27 or 110 bucks, right? I want to get it a little early. I wanted to see it, trade sideways there. Gosh, it's almost there already, right? 92.76. So you could buy it, if you were me. I mean, I could buy this right now. Or maybe wait till it gets above its 50. Just take a quarter position or a half a position. And if it works against me and, trades at a loss, and I just sell out, right? And just wait for it to come back. Like if it wants to trade down, then you get rid of it. But if it does move higher up by that 97.50, then you can add, right? And get into a full position before it forms what I think it's going to do, is form a little base here. And like I said, it's only been what, 6 weeks? Is that what the weekly showed? So I think it needs time, 7 weeks. So yeah, give it a little more time. 6 to 8 weeks is, standard for a base. So yeah, this is definitely on watch for sure. And one thing about a stock is that, you want to have it show you, it has the ability to move. And this one has shown the ability to move, right? From 34 to 100, right? It's shown the ability to move. So if it sits in a base for a couple of months, maybe it can show us the ability to move higher once again. Just got to wait for some earnings. They report July 31st. So just another stock that
Definitely
we'll
another
watch.
one to watch for sure.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up the AI, because I definitely want to talk about cybersecurity. That's one of our
Yeah.
favorite sectors,
Yeah.
and some other software. But let's wrap up. I mean, the king of AI is undisputably NVIDIA.
Yeah, boy, the thing about NVIDIA is it's got a lot of naysayers. It's got its cheerleaders too, but there's a lot of people who are skeptical of this. And I like that. I don't like it when everybody's all in, like this thing's got to go higher. That's when you that's when you should start selling. When everybody's all in the boat, you jump out of the boat. So there's a lot of negativity around this stock. It's gone too high. It's too highly valued. The Blackwell is going to cannibalize their Hopper, whatever. A bear can always,
I
come
like
up with
that.
a narrative
Remember when
to
Jensen
provide
Jensen
evidence
signed
for.
remember when Jensen signed that woman's chest? They're like,
Yeah.
that's the top.
Yeah, everybody says that's yeah. Or if you're on Barron's or if you're on a national publication, that's a sign of a top. But it's all in. If you believe, like I do, that the new bull market just started in May of 2023, and we're going to go on for a few years, and this is the leader, then you have to find a way to own this stock. And you could go in heavy at times, like when it broke out here, and then if it makes a high, then you can lighten up. But if you still want to own it, or you could buy it when it pulls back. To me, I don't think this is going to. I really doubt if it's going to sit here and form a nice little base like it did here. There's just too much interest in it. Like it did here, it formed this little base and then broke out. This is all split adjusted. So, 97.40 was like 940, 974. Broke out of the base from 974, then ran. and now it's pulled back. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
just consolidating here. Like I said, don't think it's going to form a tidy little base cup with handle. It's probably just going to bounce off moving averages. I wouldn't be surprised to see it take out that 140.76.
Mhm.
Somebody asked that today. I forget who it was. And, nothing surprises me in a bull market. Stocks are
Mhm.
going to go a lot higher than you think in a bull market, and then they go a lot lower than you think in a bear market. So,
Mhm.
ride the trend. The trend is your friend till it bends at the end, and that one's not bending. So,
I like that.
yeah, I mean, don't overthink it, right? I mean,
No.
keep it simple. It's going higher. If it slices through its 50 and has a lot of volume on the way down, and or has a poor earnings report and looks like the story's over, that's different. But this is doing nothing wrong. So, stocks
Mhm.
above their 21 and their 10, those are strong stocks, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, I'm long NVIDIA and I have been, so I'm not, like you said, I've minimized over time and then, I can add a little bit, but I've always tried to maintain some type of base in NVIDIA because to me, it's the king of AI, the king of
yeah.
stocks. And, and that's just it.
I
So,
think I think most everybody is, right? They're NVIDIA. Oh, I wanted to show you something,
yeah.
is that, everybody talks about how there's no more buyers left in NVIDIA, right? So on Market Surge, they give you the amount of fund ownerships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it increase from, 6,200 to 66 to 7,000 to 73. And this was just reported last week. The June quarter ended, and now it has 77,400. And you could see, some of the larger and growth funds that own it and how they're adding to it. And so remember that number, 7,414, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go to Google, which is another stock. It doesn't have the market cap of an NVIDIA. It's probably about 1 trillion lower, but this one's got 70, 74, 73. It just reported 7. So it's got about the same amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a smaller market cap. Then you go to Microsoft, and this has over 10,000. It's had over 10,000 for 4 quarters. So are there 3,000 more funds out there that need to buy NVIDIA?
That's a good point.
Is it?
Microsoft, I think, is like the top holding for funds.
Yeah, yeah, you got to
Mhm.
own it. I
But
sat
yeah,
on
that's a
a,
good point. I like that. I don't
yeah,
know, 3,000 that could buy into NVIDIA.
yeah, I'd say it's under owned, and people think I'm lunatic.
You're loony.
Yeah, it's under owned. It is. When it gets to 10,000, when everybody owns it and everybody's saying it's got to go higher, it'll probably have like a 6 trillion market cap then. When everybody was job
Mhm.
owning it at 3 trillion, right?
Yeah. What do you think of Google? We were just mentioning Google. We mentioned Steve Jobs. So let's talk about Apple, Google, Microsoft. What do you think of those
Uh,
three great ones?
yeah, I think those are just must owns or staples in your retirement account, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Google, if you just go back to its IPO, I mean, this is one of those IPOs you just hit the ground running, right? Everybody knew Google was going to be a fantastic stock. What was this? 03, 04, yeah, 04, just hit the ground running. Yeah, I mean, no IPO base, just adios, muchachos, right? So Google has just
Mm-hmm.
been a big winner. I mean, it continues to be, and you could see the pullback in the bear market and now trending higher with the new AI bull market. So the trend is your friend until it bends at the end, and it's up 3.75% just in July. So there's nothing to do there but count your money and just ride the trend, right? If I go to the
Mm-hmm.
daily chart, that's a weekly, and there's a daily. It's above the 10. It broke out of this base, pulled back
Yeah,
one
very
time,
nice.
gave you a
Yeah.
chance to get in, and popped higher. Now it's surfing its 21 like Kelly Slater, right?
You
Isn't he?
sound like a Californian when you say that.
I'm a Californian, yeah. Surf the wave, baby, yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess I have to find a new a surfer, Bethany Hamilton, right? I can't be sexist. Bethany is a
it's
surfer.
okay.
Well,
It's all good. So, in Microsoft, as we know, is a top
Microsoft, but people
one.
are, yeah, Microsoft.
Apple.
I showed you how much ownership there was. Once again, this is a slower mover, but it had this, base. I think this is a double bottom. It says flat base, doesn't matter the pattern, but it just broke out and it's running higher, surfing its moving average again. People are complaining oh, it's down yesterday, it's down today. Big deal. Just ride the trend, count your money, go golfing, go hiking, go fishing, go skiing, whatever
Or
you do.
swimming. Go
Don't
swimming.
overanalyze this thing.
And then Apple, let's take a look at Apple.
Paralysis by analysis, right? I got people who just, they look at their phone all day, or look at their computer. It's like, get away from that thing. The more
Mhm.
you look at these, charts on it, glued to it 24/7, you're going to make a mistake because you're going to act impulsively instead of acting on, technicals. Apple, once again, it's got the Dolly Parton pattern on the weekly, the base, unbase pattern. You can see the breakout there,
Mhm.
back, and now running higher. I
Yeah, it
forget.
looks like it wants, 230, but
Yeah,
new all-time highs.
yeah, it's just a little extended from its moving averages there, but definitely, these are big buyers coming in. It wasn't earnings, right? It was the developers conference, right? That was the catalyst for this. Yeah, it wasn't earnings. They report earnings August 1st, allegedly. So it wasn't earnings. It wasn't back in May. It was the June developers conference where they announced their AI plans, and then it was kind of panned the first day, and then the next
Mhm.
day it just took off, pulled back a little bit, but found support. Now it's just moving higher.
Very
Yeah, there's
nice.
nothing to do there. I mean, a lot of people own Apple. Of
Mhm.
those ones that we mentioned, I just own a little bit of Tesla. NVIDIA is my largest, and I own a little bit of Apple too.
Yeah,
So,
I have Apple and
yeah,
NVIDIA and Tesla.
but I don't own,
I have a little Google
should.
as well.
To me, Amazon, of all the stocks of those Mag 7, this one is closest to, a buy point to a base. You can see the base here and
Mhm.
it's just starting to move away, but it's having trouble at the 200 level. So I think,
Mhm.
if you can get it in here, just below 200, if you look in the rear view mirror 3 months from now, 200 just going to be in it, like looming. Things
200 will be
look
the
larger in
support.
your rear view or in your side mirror. Yeah, this thing's going to be after earnings, what, July 25th? I think they're going to report a strong quarter. And once
Mhm.
again, just higher lows, right?
Are you in Amazon?
I'm not. See, this is the one, Amazon and Meta. These are two that I don't own, but these are two that I think are closest to buying and not extended. Like I just showed you Apple and Microsoft. Those are pretty far gone. But Meta formed this nice, well, I wouldn't call it nice. It's kind of messy, but a cup with handle
I
pattern.
see
And
that cup
just
and
I
handle.
want to say last Friday. Yeah, last Friday it broke out. It was having trouble at the 500 level, like Amazon's having trouble with the 200 level. And then it broke
Mhm.
out to 540, pulled back yesterday, just a little bit, 2%, $10. And had an inside day today. That looks fine, just allowing the moving averages to catch
Yeah.
up. Yeah, but as long as those moving averages are trending higher,
Mhm.
Meta looks good to me. They're going to report on July 31st, but that was at my side. I was telling people that this is a gift. Did I
Oh,
buy it
yeah.
414? This is a gift. Did I buy it? No. Why didn't you dummy?
No, because it
So
was it was way below the 50-day, and I think that's against your rules, right?
I'm scared. How low is it going to
I
go?
think everyone's scared, right?
Sometimes I'm a dummy. I don't listen to myself. But yeah, I was telling people like, hey, 414, you're not going to get that again.
Mm-hmm.
And did I buy it?
Exactly.
No.
Before we get into cybersecurity, we're looking at all these amazing charts. We're talking about some amazing companies and stocks that
Yeah.
tend to be resilient in this environment of higher rates and inflationary environment. So let's talk about risk management. This is
Yeah.
important because, Marty, I'm so excited right now. I just want to run out and like go in after hours. Or
Yeah.
maybe some people want to go out and buy some of these that are just winners. I mean,
Yeah.
Microsoft, the Amazons and the Apples and the NVIDIAs, but we need to be cautious and we need to be careful. And we still are, and now we're going to be entering the middle of July and
Yeah.
it tends to get weaker.
Yeah.
And we see some of these are extended. So
Yeah.
tell us how we could use some risk management here and not go run out and buy these stocks.
A couple things. Seasonality. I believe in seasonality, and August and September are typically shaky months, and October is known to be the breaker, right? Where it breaks higher, right? Where we break our fever, and October runs higher. But what you mentioned in risk management, you have to consider your time frames. If you're a trader in and out, you're going to pay attention to those technical moving averages. Um, if you're a longer term investor and you're buying stocks for longer term and you're patient investor and you're buying those large liquid leaders like we talked about, Google and Apple and Microsoft and NVIDIA and Lilly and Novo, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get into CrowdStrike. If you're looking at, 5 years down the road, 5 years is a long time, just 2 or 3 years down the road, then you're going to have to sit through some of that volatility. Like Peter Lynch said, every 2 years, you're going to have a 10% correction, and your growth stocks are going to correct 2 or 3 times the index. So if the NASDAQ corrects 10%, your stocks are going to correct 20 to 30%. Can you handle that? Can you take that? Are you going to dollar cost average in at that point? So you have to have a strategy before you start doing this stuff. You can't just go willy-nilly, I'm going to buy CrowdStrike because I like it, and then it tanks 20%. You said I lost a bunch of money. You have to have a plan. And you have to know yourself, and you have to know your personality. If you don't have a personality, you need to get one quickly. And and CrowdStrike is one that I like. I know you wanted to go to CrowdStrike, but there's also some others in the cybersecurity space that I know a lot of people are knocking lately that have pretty good balance sheets that I
Mm-hmm.
like. Can I show you?
Yeah, let's go cybersecurity, which to me is an
Yeah, these are ones that we
essential,
talked about for a
necessary
long time,
sector.
and I've got to go to the weekly chart. I like weeklies.
Is this the
You get to
Pelosi
the
stock? Did she buy this one too?
Palo Alto, I did, but I sold it when it sliced its 50 because that's what I like to do. But I did not like the last 2 quarters of what the management was talking about, how they changed their billings and their accounting system. It seemed a little sketchy. But what I like about Palo Alto is their return on equity, their cash flow. They
Cash
have
flow is
no debt. This
excellent.
thing is a cash cow, right?
Yes, it
Right
is.
now it has up down
Their
volume of
free cash flow is
1.3.
awesome.
Yeah, accumulation distribution, B minus. So this thing's being accumulated. If I look at fund ownership, it lost some the last quarter, but it's got the big funds in there. I think funds are kind of waiting for this one to prove itself at the next earnings report, which is in September. But definitely form this, base here, which I like. Sold off, formed this little base, buyers come in, right? And now it's pulled back a little bit to its 10. So to me, I think I put this on my ready list recently.
I think you did.
Yeah, because of that pattern. It's not gonna go up, every day. And it's not just gonna break out and go to the moon. But if you're looking to own Palo Alto, I think this is a pretty good entry point right here, right near its 10. It's pulled back a little bit after this run up from 265. Of course, if you were smart, you would have bought it at 265 or
Of course, the low.
286.58.
We want to buy at the low.
It's easy to look back in retrospect. But
Mhm.
now, yesterday and today, it's pulled back a little bit. It's right there. It's at 10 EMA. Yeah, so I'd take a swing at that thing.
Mm.
Right now with a quarter position or a half a position, I kind of like the way it's set up there.
Yeah, I think it's a Nancy Pelosi stock. I
Oh,
think that's
no,
one of the
really?
ones she bought. And she got 10,000 shares of NVIDIA at 120. So we know where that one's headed, right? I don't think she loses. So, okay, what,
And they bought those defense stocks right before the Russia-Ukraine war started, right?
right? I know. How about
How did
CrowdStrike, the
they know
leader?
that? Then they passed these defense bills, right, with all this defense
I know,
spending.
right? It's just unbelievable.
Oh my
What they
God.
know and how they profit. So
Let me,
CrowdStrike, the leader in cybersecurity.
yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. We were talking about this probably a year and a half ago about how Fortnite, Zscaler,
Yeah.
Palo Alto, we're all kind of, jockeying for position, but
Yeah.
after the last few earnings reports, and it's because of their endpoint solutions, it's what they cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is needed now is why CrowdStrike is in the driver's seat. And this is the
Yeah,
one,
absolutely. Look at that.
yeah, if I
Yeah.
was going to buy one, this would be
Yeah.
the one that I would
CrowdStrike is the
want to
leader.
buy. Yeah, classic, right? Cup with a nice shake out
Cup and
below the
handle. Yeah.
50, undercut the 50, rips higher, and now it's just got this,
Sideways consolidation
a,
there.
a- a shelf pattern or a Darvis box or whatever you want to call it. I've got to go to the 5-minute chart though, Rob, because it's been doing this 2 days in a row. This is Monday, right?
Oh,
Where
look at that. It shoots
you know,
up
the
and
old
comes
Monday
back down.
morning okey doke, right? The rope-a-dope or whatever, where it ramps up to 397. Then,
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes later, it's at 379. It's like, oh man.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
why I say fools rush in, especially on a Monday morning, right?
Yeah.
But it recovered, on Monday. I think it was even up on Monday. If I go to the daily chart, yeah, it recovered. It was up on Monday, but it did the same thing today, where it ramped up back, 398. It even went above, yeah, 398, and then it sold off right away, right? So it's like it's giving you the old rope it up, and that's what stocks do. They shake people out, right? This is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
tree
It's a
shaking
shake
going
and
on.
bake right now, it
Yeah, to me,
seems.
this is
I'm
accumulation.
long this stock.
Are you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've been.
So am I. Not as big as I was, but this to me is just stealth
Yeah,
accumulation.
I took some profits, I think around just a little before from that
Yeah,
nice run. And then now I'm just holding it,
yeah.
a leader,
If I
great,
go to
great
the
company.
weekly, yeah, I think it was 3 weeks tight or 4 weeks tight trading in there.
Yeah, look
Yeah,
at that.
yeah. So, just got to be patient. Once again, you're not going to buy it. It doesn't know you own it. It's not going to just go, oh, Rosanna bought it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna just go.
I'm gonna go.
It
Now
doesn't
I'm
know
gonna go.
that.
No, actually, Rosanna bought it. Now I'm gonna go down.
I'm going lower.
Yeah, I'm going lower. I've got Zscaler. I'm long Zscaler.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay.
Yes, I am. I like that one.
CrowdStrike's the only one that I bought. Oh, wow, that looks pretty good. So yeah,
Yeah,
sold
I've
off.
always liked this one. I've
See
been
the,
in and out of this one.
yeah,
My first time buying it was back in 2020, May, right around their earnings, and I've
um,
liked it ever since.
yeah, I have a few friends who work at this company. I like, well,
You know everyone. Marty knows everyone. It's official.
well, I worked in Silicon Valley for, 45, 50 years. So yeah, but Nana was, my wife was at, Cisco and Google and
Wow. And she knows a
Facebook.
Fortinet,
And
right?
what's that?
Was she at Fortinet?
Fortinet. She was at Fortinet for a while, well-run
Wow.
company. So those people at Fortinet, we'll get there, and same with
Mhm.
Zscaler are, the CEOs of the original.
I love it. I love the
Yeah.
founder-led
Yeah. Same with
companies.
CrowdStrike, George Kurtz,
Hmm.
CrowdStrike.
Great people,
Yeah,
great.
gosh, I have friends at all those companies and, they all say great things about them. They love working there. Very good to their employees, but we just care about them as stocks, right? Because we don't.
Hmm.
And this is why I like buying out of bases. I like stocks that form bases because you can see the sellers here. Sellers get out right after a big run. There's profit taking. That's fine. Get out. I want out of here. I want to go join another stock. There's rotation. I want to go buy NVIDIA. I want to go buy Tesla. I want to go buy Google. And so they get out, right? And the stock finally makes a bottom here. And it made a good bottom there at 155. I would say the bottom right there is like 166 in that area. So it retested that level and now it's trading above its moving averages, right? So now I'm interested in this one. I haven't looked at this in a while. You can
Ah,
see this
I
is the
got you
earnings
interested
line.
now.
Yeah, I am. I
I
haven't
like
looked at
this
this
one.
in a while, really. I looked at the crowd and I'll get to ALAR in a minute. But yeah, I like this one. I'm not a bottom fisher, but I think you can see here that kind of like the selling is kind of done. I'm not going to call it capitulation selling, just say the people who want it out are out. And now there's some institutions nibbling on this thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, I kind of like that one actually.
Yeah, I like
I
this
would
one. I'm
say
long.
yeah, above last week's high would be good entry point for me, which was Friday, 203.75. Yeah, if it gets above there, that looks good. You got a winner.
Yeah,
I know you
well,
got
at least I
that one.
got
I
one
got
winner,
that.
right? Okay, so we have
Fortinet, you mentioned,
Fortinet.
yeah, Fortinet.
I am not in this one.
No, they had bad earnings.
Mm,
I think it might have been two earnings in a row. Yeah, sold off here.
yeah,
But
I
you
used
could,
to own this one.
yeah, big consolidation, but its earnings line is trading, trending north. If the earnings are going north, the stock should follow. Unless, the market knows something that the earnings are going to fall off, but we'll see. They report August 6th. It's got decelerating 16, 10, 7.
Mm,
So yeah, we'll see. Tough competitive market. And the last one that I wanted to show was ALAR. This one's been on my radar. Did I buy it? No. I
Oh,
pointed, I use it as an example of stocks that undercut their 50 like it did here and then rally back through. You want to see them rally back through hard, right? Not just squat there. And that's what this one did. Did I buy it? No, I haven't bought this one, but it's a real small 279 million market cap
wow.
a security stock. So
Another
yeah,
Israel-based company.
yeah,
A lot of innovation from
definitely one
there.
to watch though, I think.
Absolutely. How about S? Are you watching S
Oh
still?
man, no. That one fell out of my radar. Woo, look at that.
Yeah, I have
That
not
that's your
liked it.
classic go to market and the bear market starts, right?
Mm,
IPO, the bear market starts. It looks like one of those ski slopes, right?
yeah, probably good for like
Ski jumps.
snowboarding.
Yeah. And then it just went through this like stage one, and it's still in this like stage one
Yeah, they could
base
eventually
level.
break out. Their
They can't
earnings,
break out.
that the earnings line
Probably
right
be
there?
wow, it's got pretty good earning sales growth here.
Yeah, so they could
Um,
one day break out and have a massive run. Could,
yeah, it's
maybe.
kind of like it's still going through its due diligence phase here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The, the
but
DD
you got to have
phase.
buyers to move higher. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
and we have
hasn't looked at that one in a long time.
No Marty and Rosanna standing in line to buy that
No,
one.
no, I like buying leaders. So if I'm going to buy an AI leader, I'm going to buy NVIDIA. If I'm going to buy a cybersecurity leader, I'm going to buy CrowdStrike. I'm going to buy a drug leader. It's going to be Novo or
Really,
Lilly.
really. And then Beauty's Elf.
Yeah,
And,
beauty.
we have to touch upon energy data centers and miners, and not gold and silver miners, but the crypto miners. And, you say you don't know much. I think you know a lot about them. And we talk about them, throughout the day.
We do.
IREN, Cores, Wolf, and Hut,
Yeah. See,
Clean
at my
Spark.
site, I recommend Meta and SMCI. Some of these stocks, they're 5, 6 Deckers, $800, right? And they wanted some lower price stocks. So I looked around for some lower price stocks that were in a base, or pulling back because I don't know, people are enamored with lower price stocks, and I don't really like lower price stocks, especially micro cap stocks, because they tend to get pushed around a little bit, and
Mhm.
it's the volatility is not good for my heart. um, but okay, let's go through some of these that you mentioned. Some of the data center miners. You want to go to Iris?
Sure.
Okay. So this one obviously has strength. They report on mining quite often, right? Like I see
Wow,
their
it really sold
reports
off today.
like once a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of broke out of this downtrending line back here,
Then it
got on
took
the
off.
radar, and then it just went so fast. I missed it up to 14.95. So the time to buy it was on the pullback here to the 21. I think James mentioned that it ripped higher, but yeah, pull back today 12%, but all it did was pull back to its 21. You're thinking, my God, 12%. You can't have a large size in a stock that's going down 12% a day. It'll give you a heart attack. So to me, if I'm going to buy this one, I'm going to buy it above 14.95, and I buy it small.
Oh, so
So
you're waiting for it to break out over that previous
yeah, I
line.
want to see strength, Yeah, I want to see strength because, to me, it's like insurance. I don't want to buy it down here because what if it does this? It goes
Mm-hmm.
back to, $10 down to its 50.
See, a
I
little
don't think it
different.
will, but you don't
Yeah, a
know
little
that.
different strategy than from the real leaders. This is more speculative, so you
Oh,
want more
yeah, this is highly
certainty.
speculative. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
get to some biotech names that are speculative too.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, let's see. Hut came out with some news. Wolf, we could look at
There's
cores. There's
another
so many
one.
of
Yeah,
them.
this one pulled back,
Look at that. It's a
fine.
nice trend line.
Yeah, the higher lows, but they're not going to go up every day. You mentioned cores. I believe I put this one on my site. Just pull back. These things are going to shake and bake a lot. They're easy to move. They're easy to push around. They're little fleas on the horse's behind. This is
Mm-hmm.
1.7 billion market cap. So these are really small stocks. You mentioned the Russell earlier. That's what you're going to get with stuff like that. What was the other one that you mentioned?
Uh,
Core,
cores,
Volt.
Hut and Clean Spark and the miners, the
Hut
peer
had
miners.
wow. They had They had a good news today. I forget the news, but yeah, you can see it ramp up in the morning and then it just sold out. So this is buy the rumor, sell the news. I forget the news this morning. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, I remember,
They
I don't,
cleared up some debt or something.
I think they
Anyway,
purchased something in Texas.
yeah, I thought it was positive, but oh well. It'll probably just pull back to a moving average. What was the other one you mentioned? CLSK.
Yeah,
That's another
Clean
one that I
Spark.
very volatile. Oh my gosh, look at that. What a mess.
Yeah,
Yeah, below its 50. Um, yeah, I don't really know. I gotta be honest, and if I'm gonna go to a crypto stock, I'm gonna go to like something like Coinbase, which I think
hmm,
is, got the sales and growth numbers, or a hood, a platform broker where you know something about it,
yeah.
right? I don't know anything about, those other smaller ones, but this is a 20 billion market cap stock, or the other one we mentioned earlier was a micro strategy, which kind of fallen on hard times.
Yeah, it
Obviously
was
had a
almost
huge run.
2000 and
Yeah.
then now well, Bitcoin's down a little bit too,
I
so.
go, it's up 242% in a year. I think everybody will take that, right?
Hmm.
When you're up that much, just like SMCI, when you're up that much, you got to expect some pullback, some profit taking, some people who just, yeah, 244%, just like a micro strategy. So
Yeah,
you got
absolutely.
to expect,
So
profit
let's
take.
look at the
Yeah.
biotechs,
Yeah. There's a couple of them that I like that I've been listening to their conference calls and I think have potential.
ADMA. I'm also
ADMA
along
is
that
certainly one
one.
of them. This catches my attention every time. This is a move not to be ignored. So, yeah, 27% move with that kind of volume. Yeah, and now it's just serving its moving average. So it's going to be hard to buy, right? Because it's extended, but once again, making higher lows and higher highs. So it's just in a trend
So like,
higher.
let's say someone wants to buy this one.
If
Where
I
do you
want to
look
buy it,
for,
just oof.
let's say, where's a good entry here?
Well, look, just look at, every now and again, it'll have a 1 or 2 day pullback, right? Not even to a moving average sometimes. Right there, you got it at its 10, at 1035. And here it pull back. As the moving average is climbing, you're going to be paying more and more and more for it, right? On this day, it pulled back to $11. So now it's at 12. So um, it's just trending higher. Once again, you could take a swing at it on a pullback, and if it pulls back further, you know,
That's it.
buy a little more. If it crashes and burns, then you lose your ass, and that's the way it goes. But it's probably going to find support and trade higher. These guys have, this is not speculative. They have real earnings and sales. Yeah, I mean, you can see down here, triple digit earnings growth, 40, 48, 44%.
Beautiful numbers, I know.
Yeah, yeah. They just raised guidance too. So this is not a fly by night
Not a
speculative.
fly-by-nighter.
No, no, these guys have real sales and earnings. And if you can look at the uptrend from $1, it's already been a 10 bagger. So, yeah, strong stock. The other one I wanted to show is TGTX,
Yes, it's another one that's profitable.
heavily shorted stock, but it's setting up in this base here. So, I told you that I prefer stocks and bases. Trading tight within a base. I like that. 1841, you could have bought it there, you know, um, 1902, sure. And if you want to wait for that standard buy point, um, 22, this is heavily shorted. When they've got, the triple digit, sales growth, strong earnings growth. The thing that's not priced into this stock is that they had a contract with the VA. The CEO raised guidance last quarter to 260 to 280 million. And they have a $188 million VA contract that just started in June, so he couldn't include it till the next earnings report. So when they report earnings in August, he's going to have to raise guidance because now that contract is 75% of the prior guidance. So he's going to have to raise it something. I don't know what it's going to be, 20%, 30%. I'm sure he's not going to throw everything in, but they're going to have to definitely raise guidance. So I'm just waiting for the earnings report here. This is one that I'm going to hold through earnings because I think it needs a data point to blow the shorts up. And then, like I said, there's a lot of shorts in here. And once this thing moves, if I show the weekly, you can see this thing has the ability to really,
Wow.
really ramp. These are sharp moves. And So I'm just kind of waiting. They have a multiple sclerosis drug that's best of breed. They're taking market share. Doctors are converting their patients to Briumvi, and
Wow.
it
Yeah.
to launch a stock and to take market share and to convert, they've got a bunch of sharp eggs from Celgene in their
Remember Celgene? I traded that one a
Celgene,
long
yeah.
time ago.
So Bristol Myers brought Celgene, yeah. So they've got some sharp cookies in there, and so to launch this, they've really executed well. They licensed their drug to Europe. This is not a fly-by-night company. These people know what they're doing. Their CEO is a little bit of a swashbuckler, but I think they're going to execute. And once again, I think you could probably hold that one for a year, and it's going to trade higher. The CEO has a stipulation in his contract where if the market cap is over 10 billion, he gets like a $16 million bonus. So
Well, that's motivation right there.
yeah, you got to put gas in the yacht, right?
Absolutely. I remember us talking about this one last year or earlier this year, right before this consolidation they've been going through. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of potential with TGTX. No fly-by-nighters there.
No, no. But a fly-by-nighter, and I got to mention this one because Viking is my pick for Cubby Bear's. Who
Oh,
cares, right? Cubby Bear, his little contest, and it ramped up, from whatever it was to
wow,
$99.
yeah.
That, oh man,
It's
I'm
been
gonna win
downhill
Cubby Bear's
since.
contest, which is just bragging rights, right? And then it sold off. But these guys have the weight loss compound, which is really kind of superior compound. But the problem with them is they don't have, it's pretty obvious they want to buy out, right? And they want to negotiate because to launch a drug, it takes, a lot of resources, which they did a secondary offering about $85. So they have cash, but it takes a lot of resources, energy, and know-how to execute a drug launch. And there's no guarantee. And then, you need manufacturing plants to manufacture your drugs. You got to go to market. And, and then you're going up against these giants like Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly, and the big fish, they're hard. It's tough competition. So that's why I think they really want to buy out. And I don't think companies want to pay, what's the market cap on this now? 5.9 billion, I don't think they want to pay 10 billion for it. They'd like to this thing shake down to about where it came from, $20, and buy it for, 5 or 6 billion. But
Yeah.
once again, you need the manufacturing plants and any drug company, and that's kind of what's going on with Lilly and Novo right now, is that, they're selling everything they make and they just cannot manufacture enough of it. And that's why they're putting a lot of money into building manufacturing plants. And Novo's got this, they bought Catalent, which has 3 manufacturing plants, one in Indiana, one in Belgium, one in Italy, but it can't get through the FTC because the regulations, they're fighting them on it because of antitrust violations. So, or they're just going to make them continue to manufacture drugs for other companies. So we'll see what happens with them. Very tough though.
Very tough, but
Yeah, they
weight
have to,
loss drugs, they're definitely hot. And one of the key investable themes that we talked about today. So
yeah,
Marty, this has been awesome. I always love hanging out with you and talking
yeah.
stocks and all kinds of companies and markets. So thank you so
Uh,
much.
Exciting times. We're living in exciting times, right? A
We
lot going
are
on, right? We
totally
didn't even get into the software names because the software, it's kind of like it's going to be hit and miss, right? With the Salesforce and the ServiceNow and Elastic and Datadog, and you don't know who the
Datadog,
winners are going to
yeah.
be, DigitalOcean, but they're definitely going to have an AI component. And there's just there's a lot of and we've seen these software names sell off, right? Because there's just a
Yeah.
lot of uncertainty there.
Datadog's been a tough hold, over the
Yeah,
past
it's
year.
it's a pit bull though.
It is a pit bull. It's
It's
not a
not a
little
chihuahua, it's
chihuahua.
a pit bull.
Jinx. I know, it's a good one. I like Datadog. It's a great company.
Yeah. Hey, it was good catching up with you, Rosanna.
Definitely.
Take
Thank you.
care. Say hey to your family. Take care of them. Give them a hug. Every day's a blessing. Never give up.
Exactly. Never give up and give
Yeah.
Roscoe a hug for us.
Yeah, Roscoe,
You
little
gotta catch him.
rascal. Yeah.